It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across the USA. We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. We've made it to a Monday.
We have. Happy Monday.
I want to find. I was looking for. There's a story that I had somewhere here.
Yeah.
You and I got talking about issues during the break. I mean, how dare we do that?
Yeah, I know, right?
And you threw me off track.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. We touched on it to start off the show, but I just found this to be so incredibly hilarious.
All right.
New York Post had this story. DNC chair Ken Martin, the head of the Democratic National Committee,
Okay.
vented about the party vice chairman, David Hogg, to the point of near tears in a recent call with top Democratic brass, saying no one knows who the hell I am. He's being overshadowed by Mr. Hogg, who we used to call Hogue.
Right.
To be very honest with you, this is a quote, for the first time in my 100 days on this job, the other night I said to myself for the first time, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, Martin bluntly admitted in leaked audio of the May 15th Zoom meeting that was obtained by Politico. So this is not a conservative hit job.
Right.
Martin was elected boss of the Democratic National Committee in February, bemoaned the shadow that Hogg cast over him by igniting a firestorm within the party over his plans to fund primary challenges against incumbent Democrats. No one knows who the hell I am, right? Martin said during the call, which he singled out Hogg, who was in the meeting.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my sea legs underneath me and actually develop any amount of credibility so I can go out there and raise money and do the job that I need to put ourselves in a position to win. I don't think you intended this, but you essentially destroyed any chance I have to show the leadership that I need to, he said, directly addressing Hogg. So it's very frustrating. Toward the end of the leaked audio, Martin's voice grew softer, and he paused at least twice, appearing to be on the verge of choking up. Nobody knows who I am. Well, the DNC boss told Hogg, I deeply respect you and was looking forward to working with you, while griping about the dilemma that Hogg had created. About 10 people were reportedly on the call. The Post reached out to the DNC and Hogg for comment. Hogg later posted text messages with the political reporter who broke the story as evidence that he did not leak the audio. Martin was meanwhile adamant that I'm not going anywhere after the leak audio surfaced. I took this job to fight Republicans, not Democrats, he said, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I just
the party chose David Hogg for that position.
Yes.
To be the deputy chair. That's just, that's how it worked. That's democracy in action. The Democratic Party's democracy is in danger, it sounds like, because David Hogg was chosen by the people of his party, by the Democratic Convention, by the people, his peers. He didn't, as far as we know, steal the election.
I'm sorry.
But if he did, then release the Kraken.
Oh, my gosh. It's just so funny.
Yeah, it is.
You get such an incredible, kick out of it. I'll tell you, though, everything was dominated, though, by the riots. And coming up on the bottom of the hour, you'll want to hear this.
Yeah, okay.
Michael Shellenberger speaks on it.
Yeah.
Michael Shellenberger, lifelong Democrat.
Yeah.
Speaks on it, part of the Twitter files, and just goes through point by point. Part of what he said was sort of like listening to Mark Halperin before talk about the Maryland man. It's like,
Yeah.
how can they sit in a meeting and come up with this? And we had to explain to Mark again, because there's people out there that still seem surprised. They aren't journalists. They're political activists.
Exactly.
They don't care if they lie and get caught. In fact, they understand. You know what it's like? It's like in Goodfellas. When what's his name? The kid, Henry.
Yeah.
When Henry gets caught, but he doesn't snitch.
Right.
And he thinks they're going to be mad at him, and they're all happy with him. They go, no. You're going to get caught.
Yeah.
You're a criminal. You're going to get caught. Just don't snitch.
Right.
And we'll give you our high-priced lawyers. Oh, wow, that's great. So I'm supposed to do bad, and then I'm supposed to get caught. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't feel any shame. It's just the way the business is.
Right.
And
you serve
so
your time, and then, you're done.
So, yes, I'm referring to the legacy media, the mainstream media, as the mafia.
Right.
Okay, now I'm just amusing myself.
Well,
Okay.
it's
It's a very complicated situation.
No, but it's. But it dominated this week, and it dominated everything, even the Greta Thunberg thing, because I was so looking forward to the Israeli Navy pulling over her, quote, yacht,
her
sailboat.
Yeah.
And then finding out, well, they've been running the diesel engine a lot on it. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
but Greta, wait a minute. The world's going to end in 4 years.
Yeah.
Why are you helping Hamas? Well, because Hamas is our only way out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how she would explain that.
Yeah.
She didn't say that, but I was just
That,
guessing what she would say.
Right.
Because what she said.
Was she going to
doesn't
do
make sense anymore.
a John Kerry?
Hamas
isn't trying to kill the planet. Actually, they are. Literally.
Hamas provides health care.
Yeah.
Doesn't help if you're a suicide bomber.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's what position would you take? How much money do you have to be taking to get on a yacht to go see Hamas and support them?
I know. You're completely delusional. I just want to know, there has to be a drug involved, and I would like, as long as they're not dying. Nobody's dying of this drug, from what I know. So I'd like to try it on a long week, on a good 3-day. We got a 3-day weekend coming up.
Yeah.
We got a 3-day weekend coming up here very soon. Can I have some of this drug that they're all doing and see what effects it has on our brain? Or maybe it won't affect our brain. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But, the Thunberg thing, that wasn't as high profile. I saw it. It was like buried like 10, 12 stories in. I'm like, oh, there it is. Oh, they pulled her over? What are they going to do now? They're going to make her watch the October 7th documentary? That's beautiful.
Yeah.
But, you had that. We said it. I said, I think that if they resolve this thing, Elon Musk and Trump, I didn't think the story would last past Sunday. It never got to Sunday, and they never made the call. They never made up.
Right.
Everyone else sort of around them, the surrogates all sort of, okay, no, let it go there, whatever.
Yeah.
But the L.A. riots dominated everything, and I don't know. Look, riots like that aren't funny. Somebody could get killed. But the way that the media covers it actually has a tremendous amount of humor in it. The way that the Democrats responded to it is just so incredibly humorous. And I will say that a lot of that comes from the 2020 riots with the whole peaceful protest, because that's what you started seeing right up front. Well, it's a peaceful protest. It's a peace. Like, what are they talking about? They're saying peaceful protest. And whether it's CNN or MSNBC, doesn't matter if it's a liberal network or a conservative network. These Democrats are on there saying these things, and it's a split screen, and you're seeing burning and mayhem and pillaging and vandalism in the background, and they're like, it's mostly peaceful. What's Trump? And it's like, this is just way too entertaining, just because the whole peaceful protest 2.0, as conservatives are calling it, Republicans, we went through it already when, as we've said, Democrats are always trying to change the definition of words and phrases. Well, they did to the point where they didn't do this willingly. They didn't know they were doing it. Peaceful protest from 2020 became the phrase that meant it's a complete riot out of control.
Yeah.
If a reporter says it's a peaceful protest, this riot is out of control.
Right.
And they don't even realize it. And they're doing the exact same thing over again. And it was incredibly entertaining watching the media and the Democrats go through all of this and actually defend the criminals.
Right. Yeah.
And the funny part is not them doing it because it's reprehensible as public servants that they're doing it and they don't put the citizens number one. It's that they actually, I think, believe in their own delusional world that they're winning the argument.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. No, they really do. I mean, Greta was on that yacht for a reason. You know, the people who are doing this honestly think they're heroes. They believe in these things. This is who they are. All of us with rational minds, all of us normal people, look at these things and you wonder how a mind becomes this bad. Well, it actually is, you know, the case. This is how they think. You know, when we talk about a Mayor Bass or Governor Newsom or these individuals, it's like the caller, one of the earlier callers pointed out, you know, this really is them. They believe because they win big. And I mean, they've got that blue bubble of California to protect them for a long time. California is not going to go red in our lifetime. It's not going to happen. So they believe this empowers them, and they love the power. They're in it for the power. This is what they need to fight for. You know, if the rioters are rioting for any reason, well, you get out there and support that reason. Doesn't matter. Does it keep me in power? That's great. These people vote left. I'm on the left. I'm going to get power from whatever they're promoting. You look at Greta. You know, the whole how dare you on climate change. Next thing you know, she's on a diesel-powered yacht going to promote her anti-Semitism.
That had these symbolic sails.
Right. It's not a sailboat. She's not on a sailboat. Come on.
It did have sails.
Yeah.
Well, every picture I saw,
well, somebody was,
the sails weren't, what do you call it, out, up,
right,
whatever.
Exactly. Well, someone on the boat may have been 3 sheets to the wind, but that doesn't make it a sailboat. Seriously. And you know, because I think, you know, that's my mind. How drunk do you have to be? Well, no, they're delusional. They walk around this way. This is how they think every day.
And to have, I mean, the scenes over the weekend, we had the one Democratic congresswoman. There were two of them from California. Can't remember their names here at the moment. One was Berrigan, I think. And when she was on talking about the fact that Trump simply called in the National Guard because he doesn't like the entire nation to see a peaceful protest. As she's saying that, the split screen have the two protesters with the Mexican flags driving around the burning car. I mean, the one guy where they take the picture, the snapshot of him holding up the Mexican flag with the bicycle with the flames behind him.
Yeah.
That is going to be the picture that Republicans use to help defeat the Democrats in 2026.
Yeah.
That's going to be one of them. She's sitting there saying it as it's happening, and then they sort of fade out. Then the one on MSNBC saying, "Oh, we believe that the L.A. Police Department has this in hand," and you can't even see there's so much smoke. You've got a helicopter view of the street. You can't see the street. It's all smoke.
Yeah.
And you're just saying, all of them. I mean, obviously the producers, because they, I think, tried quickly to just go full screen to the person, the congresswoman talking. They knew it. They were like, what in the hell?
Yep.
Shut up.
Yep.
Don't you realize we're playing the screen of the rioting and the vandalism and the destruction and the smoke and the basically in both cases it looked like a dystopian nightmare. And they're saying everything is wonderful, everything is great.
Right.
This is all Trump's fault, and you're like, are you nuts?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it was the most entertaining thing. Not the riots, but the response of the media.
It's always about the response for us because
and
we
the
know
Democrats,
we can almost tell you exactly where they're going to be. You know, the riots and the whole abolish ICE thing, that's been around for a long time. But here we are, once again, the liberal activist media and the liberals just bat soup crazy in their response.
Yep. 866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
With spring crop planting nearly complete for much of the nation, USDA Farm Service Agency Administrator Bill Beebe offers this reminder to growers.
After spring planting is complete, agriculture producers should make an appointment with their local Farm Service Agency office to complete their crop acreage reports before the application deadline.
That deadline being July 15th. The importance to producers regarding crop acreage reporting is
to ensure the receipt of an important safety net or disaster assistance, conservation, and crop insurance programs. Producers should file an accurate crop acreage report for all crops and land uses, including failed acreage and prevent plant acreage.
Beam adds some reporting deadlines will vary by county and by crop. Details on needed reporting documentation is available through local FSA offices or online at www.fsa.usda.gov. I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. We got great audio
Oh, good.
coming up following the bottom of the hour.
All right.
This one, though, is my audio cut of the day, our short audio cut of the day.
Yeah.
Because it's Representative Berrigan from California, and she's on CNN talking about how this is, I mentioned it before, Trump's deployment of the National Guard. She said he did it because he doesn't like the scenes of peaceful protesting.
Right.
Meanwhile, as she's saying it, there's 75% of the screen is a number of different pictures of the riots, the pillaging, the vandalism, the fire, everything going on. Here it is.
Right. We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
When she started getting into that, they still had it on.
Yeah.
By the time she got to, they faded off and went to her full.
Yeah.
Because somebody's realizing she's saying
this doesn't look good.
that this is all peaceful protesting. It's not.
Yeah.
This is, like I said, I really believe they all went, all right, Karine Jean-Pierre isn't there to compete against us before when it comes to gaslighting. We can do it now.
We can do it.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Man, I just showed you the funniest video of all.
Yeah.
This one protester,
Yeah.
and there's tear gas coming, huge cloud of tear gas coming his way.
Yeah.
He pulls out, he's got an electric leaf blower.
And not a good one.
No. And he's like blowing the tear gas, he's like blowing it, and it's coming right in his
It's
face.
still coming in.
And it's like, this protester and this rioter has a leaf blower expecting tear gas not to get close to him. And he goes, apparently it doesn't work well against tear gas.
This tiny little leaf blower. Might as well have a hair dryer.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
All right. So I thought critical thinking logic, as we all know, is in rare supply these days.
Mm-hmm.
So on the riots, let's go to a lifelong Democrat, Michael Shellenberger, from the Twitter files. I almost said the X files, but it would be the Twitter files.
Yeah.
And he's one of those that I think when he saw what was in the Twitter files sort of freaked him out.
Yeah.
And now he is just constantly pounding on radical liberalism, which is liberalism today. And here he talks about how they're looking at about the riots and how the media is looking at the riots.
A lot of people are upset about all of these images of rioters in Los Angeles waving the Mexican flag. If the protesters love Mexico so much, people are asking, why are they so upset when the U.S. enforces laws against illegal entry? Now, imagine for a moment that a group of Americans, including myself, were in Mexico City and began throwing bricks at police officers, smashing store windows, setting fire to government vehicles, and waving the American flag. We would not walk away unharmed. And yet in Los Angeles, protesters did exactly that. They attacked law enforcement, blocked ICE agents, and vandalized public buildings. And yet California leaders not only did not defend the law, they condemned those who tried to enforce it. Governor Gavin Newsom called the deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops to restore order purposely inflammatory. LA Mayor Karen Bass said, "We will not stand for this," referring not to the attacks on police officers or destruction of public property, but to the federal response. She reaffirmed her administration's ties to advocates of illegal immigration and made clear her allegiance was with the protesters, not with law enforcement. Now, what's truly inflammatory is not sending in the National Guard. It's standing by while mobs pelt law enforcement with bricks and fireworks, then accusing those officers of oppression. It's watching public spaces descend into chaos while calling the enforcement of laws the problem. In wealthy neighborhoods, the law is still being enforced. If you torch a car in Beverly Hills, the neighbors are going to demand that you're arrested. If you do it in East LA while shouting political slogans, you're engaging in protest. This two-tiered enforcement is not progressive. It's segregation by another name. It creates one set of expectations for the politically connected and another for the disposable. And in that framework, working people, especially immigrants, families, and hourly wage earners, are abandoned. They're the ones who walk their kids past the open-air drug dealing. They're the ones whose shops are looted and whose cars are stolen. They're the ones who call 911 and wait and wait and wait some more. Now, people sometimes ask me how California can feel so anarchic on the one hand and so authoritarian on the other. The answer is simple. It's not actually a contradiction. California doesn't swing between chaos and control. It imposes both on purpose and at scale. Now, as we saw, when the leader of China comes to San Francisco, the city leaders end illegal camping overnight. California is what happens when the state abandons its duty to protect ordinary citizens while tightening its grip on the law-abiding. California Democrats demanded people show proof of vaccination to enter coffee shops and then allowed people to smoke fentanyl on the sidewalk outside. They fined restaurant owners for trying to survive and then shut down gyms trying to help people stay healthy. Meanwhile, they decriminalized theft, refused to prosecute open drug dealing, and looked the other way as cartel-run fentanyl and methamphetamine networks took over entire neighborhoods. They demanded that social media companies censor dissent, labeled truth as misinformation, and silenced critics who warned of the obvious collapse. They banned plastic straws, but then passed out crack pipes. They prosecuted pastors for holding worship services, but refused to prosecute men who beat women unconscious on public transit. This is not confusion, it's deliberate inversion. You could get cited in Pasadena for watering your lawn on the wrong day of the week, but not for operating a meth lab next to an elementary school in Venice Beach. You could lose your job for refusing a booster and keep your taxpayer-funded hotel room while terrorizing pedestrians. You could be banned from Twitter for misgendering someone, but face zero consequences for selling the fentanyl that kills a person. These are the inevitable outcomes of a broader campaign to dismantle civilization. Now, that may sound extreme, but it's exactly what's happening. California's left does not believe in the legitimacy of the American legal system. It does not believe in borders. It does not believe in the equal application of the law. It sees those things as tools of white supremacy, and so it seeks to undo them. Refuse to prosecute, refuse to arrest, refuse to respond. Let the system collapse under the weight of its own paralysis. In its place, they promise a new ethic built on harm reduction, lived experience, and the abolition of carceral logic. But the reality is violence, fear, and disorder. During the pandemic, Governor Newsom released nearly 15,000 inmates from prison, including violent offenders, under the banner of public health. A full one-third of them victimized people and ended up back in prison. For years, Californians were told by their media and political leaders that reports of rising crime were exaggerated or invented. They were told that what they saw with their own eyes was a moral panic. Editorial boards accused concerned citizens of racism and hysteria. News anchors spoke of a crime narrative rather than crime itself. But the data eventually became impossible to deny. The state's own figures now show that California's violent crime rate under Newsom rose to be 31% higher than the national average by the end of 2022. In Los Angeles, aggravated assaults rose 23% between 2019 and 2022. When voters last November tried to take back control by passing Proposition 36 with over 70% support, which allows judges to mandate addiction treatment, Newsom has refused to fund it. The fact of the matter is that the people who run California don't see the riots as a crisis. They see them as a cleansing. They believe civilization itself, in the form of its laws, its borders, and its police, is corrupt at the root. In that worldview, civilization is not progress, it's crime.
There you go. We said it.
Yep.
How many times have we said it? Democrats and the liberals want the riots.
Yep.
They want them.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like the same thing with the open borders.
Right. Yeah.
When they go, well, you've got Democrats now saying, well, we should have focused on it. You did focus on it. The whole focus was to ensure that the borders were open.
Yeah.
You wanted chaos.
You need that chaos because you need to tear down the very fabric of the nation. You need to tear down, and you need to start. We see all the attacks on the Constitution, but carve out like the Civil Rights Act and Title IX, something we focused on, and add that into the mix for this conversation, right? So you have Title IX, where and remember what Obama was saying about the Civil Rights Act and everything else, and he also said about the Constitution and your rights in general. These aren't things he believed in. They would like to tear it all down as it is now. We don't know ultimately what their goal would be. I mean, we have a pretty good idea. Communism would be great for them ultimately. Because if you go at it with, like Title IX, that anyone can belong to that protected group, in this case women, simply by saying so. Well, that means there are no protected groups. That means Title IX itself is gone, right? If they can set that, they start chipping away at the very foundation of not just the Civil Rights Act, but the Constitution ultimately is what they want to get at. They don't believe in your Second Amendment rights. They say they believe in First Amendment rights, but they want to put you in jail for using the wrong pronoun. They would like to have they would love to have basically the deconstruction of this nation and the foundation on which it was built.
Well, look, I think when you look at the identity, because you had mentioned communism before, and it was I always found it fascinating that communism, had the Workers' Party, and they were the one economic political system that was not at all meant to benefit the worker at all.
Right.
And so whatever they have said, it's the opposite. But you look at what the Democratic Party has proposed. Identity politics. You judge people by groups and not individuals. The victim-oppressor relationship. You're the worker. You're oppressed by someone else. Even though you're really not oppressed by them, that's what they're teaching you. You're a victim. You're a victor. Give us power. When you have the identity politics, your whole goal is to build a race war. You want people to hate each other. When Biden came out and said that the Georgia election law was Jim Crow on steroids. Well, we all know that was a complete and total lie, but he wanted to create hate between different groups of people based on their skin color on what was a lie. We'd said at the time, that's what hate group leaders do. That's what you get from the KKK. That's what you get from the white Aryan nations. Democrats were all behind it. Who did it end up hurting? All the minority businesses that would have got money from the All-Star game that was supposed to be played in Atlanta that year and then was moved out of Atlanta. Right. We all remember that. You look at the radical transgender movement. The whole purpose of that is to create a misogynistic narrative and a misogynistic, I think, emotions from so many people out there. You saw it from Simone Biles this weekend. It was unbelievable what she wrote. Unbelievable. Oh, you're just mad because you lost. You can't take a loss to a man? What the hell? I mean, what type of logic is involved in there at all? All you do is the whole point is to create anger, to create victims, and therefore you'll vote for me. For what? To keep you victims and then promise to save you from being a victim, but the philosophy of how you wish to govern keeps you a victim and always a victim.
Right.
And that's the goal.
Right.
The goal is to always keep you in poverty. The goal is always to keep you believing that you're a victim.
Right.
The goal is always to believe that opportunity isn't enough. You need to be given something, and it ends up, as we see, in an authoritarian communist society, it's the minimal sustenance that you get. And
without us, you have nothing. Without us in power, you have nothing.
Yeah, with us in power, you have almost nothing,
right.
And almost nothing becomes better than nothing.
Exactly. By comparison,
Yep.
Your life is great because everybody is equally poor and equally powerless.
If you're asking where does it all lead, where else do you go? What else is the point?
That's it.
What is the point? When
That
everything
is
you've
it.
seen from Newsom, Bass, what is the point?
Well,
What is
even-
the point of gaslighting and lying?
Right.
What is the point of it all? There has to be a point. I think Shellenberger and just what we said, I think that's heading in the right direction.
Well, even prominent activists like Greta, she's drunk on the power and the attention because she's being told, you'll be a world leader. What does that mean? You'll have power. You'll have great power. That's what she's writing on. It doesn't matter that yesterday it was about climate change and today it's about pro-Hamas. I'm on my way to building my power.
Your power base.
That's it.
Doesn't matter what it's about. It just
Doesn't
matters
matter.
that you get power.
Exactly.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. All right, I posted the Michael Shellenberger piece.
Yeah.
And the audio on at Gary Red Eye 1.
Yeah, and
on
I
my next page, and then I copied
I
it.
reposted that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it's there. By popular demand.
By popular demand. Yeah.
Well, but he ma-
very
but he-
good piece
but
by
he makes
Michael
a great
Shellenberger.
he makes a great point. I mean, we said it in a more blunt way than he did, and it was simply the fact that Karen Bass wants the chaos. She wants the riots.
Yep.
The governor wants the riots. They want it.
Yep.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be speaking the way that they're speaking.
Right.
They know it's not Trump's fault. By saying that, they're encouraging people to go out and protest because Trump's involved in it.
Yep.
And not just protest, but follow what the rioters are doing.
Yes.
There's
exactly.
no other way to look at it.
Nope.
I agree with Shellenberger completely on it.
Yep.
They want this chaos.
Yes.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.